What's going on, Dodger fans? Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Incline Dodgers podcast. We are presented by TickPick and Fansided and Underdog. More on them later. So, the Dodgers, huge series with the Atlanta Braves, pull off a 4-game series split. They were down 0-2 the first 2 games, and it was ugly. The Braves were kicking our asses, but the Dodgers really battled back. 18 unanswered runs over these last 2 games, defeating the Braves tonight, which we'll start with a 9-0 victory as the Dodgers improved to 89-61 with not that many games left here in the 2024 season. They currently have a 4-game lead on the San Diego Padres for first place in the NL West, and they hold a 2-game lead over the Milwaukee Brewers for that pivotal 2 seed, and they're now 1 game behind the Philadelphia Phillies if we care about the 1 seed. Well, I'm joined by a new face tonight here on the Incline. Very excited to welcome Dan Besbris to the show. You can follow him, looks like, on social media at Old Man Squad. Dan, first of all, welcome. Second of all, what kind of work do you do? Let the people know where they can find you and what you're into.
This is awesome, by the way. Thank you so much, Kevin, for having me here. I've been a Dodger fan since I was basically birth. My mother used to take me to the nosebleeds when they were $6 a seat back in the mid 80s. And I had birthday parties up there. I currently podcast basically for fantasy basketball. That's what the weird board is behind me. But for many years, I and still do for some colleges, did baseball play-by-play. So I worked in the minors out in Bakersfield for a while, in Visalia. They were Reds and Mariners clubs. But Yasiel Puig actually signed our visiting clubhouse door on one of his seasons there. So we took it off and we auctioned it because that's what you do when a budding superstar turned signs your visiting clubhouse door. You sell it because you're a minor league team. But I've been wanting to shout not into the void about the Dodgers for so many years. So thank you so much for having me here.
Welcome. All right. Well, yeah, like I was saying a second ago, this was ugly. The Dodgers were trailing the Braves 2-0 in this series. Shades of 2020 all over again, even 2021 for that matter. And I was getting a little frustrated. I was worried the Braves were going to sweep us in a 4-game series. That would have been devastating for the Dodgers. But they fought back, especially on Sunday Night Baseball, down 2-0 once again, and had a huge 9th inning outburst where they scored 7 runs and ended up winning 9-2. But first on this game, the Dodgers, of course, pulled off a split. That's huge considering all things. So now the Dodgers have some momentum. The offense looked full of life these last 2 games. I was really impressed. But let's start with Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who took the ball for the Dodgers, was able to go 4 innings, gave up no earned runs. So he's been dialed in once again, 3 strikeouts, had to make 72 pitches. I think he pitched better than the box score indicates. It felt like the umpire was squeezing him all night long, and he was just a magician out there. I believe that the stat was the Braves had 10 runners in scoring position, and he was able to strand them all because of some great defense, such as the relay play where Tommy Edman threw it to Kike, and Kike threw it to home plate to get the runner out with Smith. But yeah, Yamamoto was fine once again, pitched on 5 days rest, which he doesn't do very often. But he held his own against the Dodgers, and the offense backed him up. So, Dan, wanted to get your thoughts on the series. Did you think this was a playoff-like atmosphere, and how big was it for the Dodgers?
Oh, these games were amazing, especially thinking back to the Sunday night game with the Austin Barnes catcher's interference that led to the weird Walker Buehler inning. For him to bounce back and for the Dodgers to get that game, I'm sure all longtime Dodgers fans saw that inning and thought, here we go again. But to see them bounce back the way they did, to hang in there, to get a nice length start out of anyone these days has been so critical. And then for it to be Buehler was like, triple the impact there. To see someone who's been struggling so much all year have success. And then, coming on tonight, this is a wonderful time because I don't really have anything to vent about. I thought this was, one of the cleanest games they played the entire season. Miguel Rojas was amazing. Coming home on a ball that got away from a catcher like 15 feet was incredible. They just did all the little things in this one. This is how good they can be when they have a competent starting pitcher and do the little things right. And it turned into a cruising blowout win. I don't know. I'd love to complain, but this was a good one.
100%. Yeah, the Dodgers offense was just clicking these last two games after a humiliating game two. I think they lost 10-1 with Jack Flaherty on the mound. But yeah, you mentioned Miguel Rojas, and he's just been an unsung hero for the Dodgers this season. I think last season was a bit of a disappointment. We had higher expectations for him, especially with him being the Dodgers' everyday shortstop, and he kind of struggled at the plate. But this season has just been a resurgence for Miguel Rojas. And you mentioned the defense. He's just been sensational out there defensively at shortstop. Always feel good when the ball's hit in his direction. He makes heads up smart plays, high IQ. He's even been a pretty good base runner for the Dodgers this season. He was able to swipe it back tonight for his 8th stolen base. Makes heads up plays when there's a wild pitch to score on a run. And just overall with the bat, he's been the model of consistency, hitting 297 with a 342 on base. He's got 5 home runs and 35 RBIs to go with it. I mean, when it comes to Miguel Rojas, we're not asking a lot from him offensively. And just given the fact that he's been this good for the Dodgers behind the at the plate is just a pure bonus with what we've been able to get from him.
Yeah, huge. I don't think any of us expected basically anything from him at the plate this year, and he's been amazing, particularly in big spots when they need to move a runner over. He has that sort of old school thing about him. And I know this is like the grumpy baseball. We wave our finger at clouds and stuff like that. But you need guys like that on a team that move the runner over, that do the little things, that make the heads up plays. And then you combine that with the slug, with the guys taking the big uppercuts, and you get that kind of nice group together. I feel like Tommy Edman is another guy that fits that type of mold, can play a number of places on defense and can hit, switch it, so you can move them around in the lineup. These were really not, I mean, the Edman pickup, forget it. Like, I know there's a lot of trade deadline stuff that you've covered for a long time now, but he's an amazing pickup. But Rojas was so good tonight. Like, he drove in a run on a single to right field where he was falling down as he made contact with the ball. It was one of those days where a lot of stuff was going their way. And then to go back to the Yamamoto start, he was in and out of trouble, like you said, all game long, was feeling for his control a little bit. It didn't seem like he had the fastball command where he wanted to in that first game back, which you see that pretty often. Guys are all amped up their first game. Second game, there's kind of a dip in whatever it is, feel at times. But he worked his way through. And just to have that type of guy, like Flaherty, who I know struggled in his last start, but just to have a legitimate big league starter you can hand the baseball to has been, I don't feel like we've had a couple of them at the same time on this team in like 2 months. So this is, I don't know. I'm cavelling, Kevin. There's an embarrassment of riches all of a sudden to actually have a starter where you're like, yeah, this dude's probably going to give us like 4 solid innings, and that feels like a win. And I know he's building up, but I don't know. I try not to think about the future too much because who you're going to start in a postseason series, but man, knock on wood, if Yamamoto can continue to build up here over these last 2 weeks, that's such a weapon to have for the team now.
Yeah, with the Glasnow injury, the Dodgers essentially need Yamamoto to pitch at the level you're talking about to make a deeper postseason run. With him and Flaherty, that's barely enough to go through. They'll have to find their way with the rest of the guys. Walker Buehler could be him, so I'll talk about Walker Buehler in a few minutes. But you brought up another player that I really have been just enjoying for the Dodgers. He was just an excellent trade deadline pickup, completely went under the radar, and Andrew Friedman picked him up from the St. Louis Cardinals. And you mentioned Tommy Edman, but he's no longer Tommy Edman. If you're in our Discord chat, he's Tommy Ed him, because every time this guy comes up to the plate, he seems to come through. He's one of the clutchest hitters statistically in baseball since 2019. And even coming this late into the season for the Dodgers, he's almost up to 100 at-bats now. He's basically a 300 hitter. He's hit 5 home runs. He's been able to steal some bases. He went deep in the Atlanta Braves series as well on Sunday Night Baseball, had a double tonight. He's just been awesome defensively in center field, like you mentioned, can play some shortstop as well. This guy might be the best bat trade deadline pickup of the season, and he just happened to fall in the Los Angeles Dodgers lap. They
Yeah.
also may have gotten the best reliever in Michael Kopech. But yeah, we're focused on Tommy Edman. So I'm jumping ahead here. He's just been awesome.
He's been amazing. He's been amazing. It's so cool to see that well-rounded ball player. I don't know. I mean, we've all watched so much baseball in our lives, and you need that right combination of guys. And he's such a good fit dude. Like you can see it. He fits anywhere. The personality, the baseball skills, the ability, again, like Rojas, to handle the bat and do little things where you need him to. Awesome pickup. And I think that was one that most of us, we were pretty excited about when we heard the name, because we'd seen him and he's always been tough against us in the last couple of years. But like, understanding at the time the issues the Dodgers had, he addressed multiple of them when he came over, and he did it again. Like, it's great to have a switch hitter that you can move around like that. It's great to be able to move him around defensively, because we know how much the Dodgers like to mix and match pieces and get Kike in there and get Taylor in there and get Kiermaier in there from time to time. Edman's awesome. Can't say enough good things about that one.
No doubt about it.
We're in a good mood tonight. This is a good mood show.
Good vibes. Hit that like button while you're here. All the likes go a long way. Hit that subscribe button if you're not a subscriber. But yeah, smash that like button. Let's get some more viewers in here. Offense was awesome. I mean, when you score 9 runs, of course, it's awesome. Freddie Freeman with a little revenge home run at the end, got a 3-run home run. He's up to 22 home runs now. Teoscar Hernandez appears to be heating up as well. He was able to drive in a run. The Dodgers offense just looked fluid tonight. Shohei Ohtani up to 108 RBIs. And even though he didn't get base hits, he was able to make contact and drive in the runners. And that's all I ask in the postseason. It's been so many times in the past where the Dodgers have an opportunity with runners in scoring position and they get unproductive outs. They strand the runners. They have a weak pop fly. They strike out. Shohei Ohtani, you can ground out hard. As long as the runner scores, you get a sac fly. I'm good with it. Runs come at a premium in the postseason. And so if you can trade 2 outs for 2 runs, that's golden in my book, because the Dodgers pitching staff, they've done it time in and time out. You give them a few runs of support, they'll hold the lead. So I'm not going to complain. Ohtani's been magnificent. No doubt about the MVP for the Dodgers and all of Major League Baseball.
Yeah, he's a monster. He's an absolute behemoth. I got to say, too, in watching this game, I felt weirdly comfortable with a 3-0 lead, which lately I don't think any of us have, given the number of weird bullpen issues, the defensive issues that have come up lately for a couple of games. There was something about this particular game that felt safer at 3-0. The cleanliness of it. They felt like, as a team, they look more focused on this game than we've seen in a while. And so even without the big, it was like walk, single home run or something like that in the was that top of the 7th inning where they blew the whole thing open. I still it was nice, because then you got to use Honeywell for the last couple of innings. You don't have to burn the leverage bullpen arms, but everything about that one felt good. And that was such a nice juxtaposition to the first 2 games of this series, where it just seemed like everything they did poorly, especially off the Cubs series too. It was just an ugly stretch of baseball coming into these last 2. So I think maybe that's why it felt so nice as a fan to see them play better and to see them just play professional baseball. Like, I have an 8-year-old. He's about to be 8. We watched a ton of Dodger games together. And when they were playing ugly, just kicking it around, I was like, we got to turn this off. I don't want you to see this baseball. If you can lose, just lose clean. That's what I'm asking. And they hadn't been. And yeah, that's a good point. Nice to get the season series win over the Braves too with these last 2.
Yep. Thank you, BC, for that stat. 5-2 Dodgers to conclude the season series. And you're right. I mean, anytime the Dodgers are up 3-0, especially in the later half of the game, that should seal the deal. That should be enough for this team to hold a lead and get the win. And I think that's going to be the recipe for success for the Dodgers. If they have to have some spot starts because we're a little thin here, I don't know who game 3 and game 4 are. We'll elaborate more in a second. But if that game 3 or game 4 guy can go 3, maybe 4 innings, limit the damage to 2-3 runs at the worst, then you pass the torch over to the bullpen and you just go man by man. Hopefully they pass the baton, they limit the damage themselves, and the Dodgers offense can put up enough runs on the board to get some 5-3, 6-4, whatever it takes type of wins, because the offense has been MIA and putrid the last 2 postseasons. And with the amount of juggernauts that they've assembled in this lineup, there's really no excuse for them to be ghosts and disappear once again. And so hopefully with Ohtani at the top, that changes the tone. And that's where I want to transition now to Sunday Night Baseball, where the Dodgers won the third game of the series to get their first win on the board, 9-2 against the Braves. There was a point where it was a 2-2 game, and once again, in this series, Snitker for the first time intentionally walks Ohtani to put multiple runners on base. And we saw the first time when they did that in front of Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts takes it personally, and this seems to be the trigger that just makes Mookie Betts go off, because Mookie Betts then, in turn, drove in the go-ahead run, and from there it was a manslaughter of just the Dodgers pouring on runs. They dropped 7 runs after all that in the 9th inning, and for the third time this season, we saw back-to-back-to-back home runs. This time, Teoscar, Edman, and Muncy, I believe, were the ones that hit those bombs. And so the offense came to life against a good pitcher too. I believe Iglesias was the reliever on the mound for the Braves.
Yeah,
and
raised his ERA from 1.16 to 1.85, I think, in that inning. And here I am celebrating.
Beautiful.
I'm like yelling this to my father-in-law, and the whole room is just like, Dan, stop. Just what are you doing?
Beautiful.
We have problems. Right? I think we can all agree we have problems, but it's a good problem.
So it was beautiful. Glad the Dodgers got that win. But yeah, so the guy that started this game, you mentioned him earlier, Walker Buehler, who turned in my opinion, his best start of the season because of the magnitude and how much meaning there was behind this game, was able to go 6 innings for the Dodgers. Quality start material right there. Only gave up 3 hits, a little bit of command issues, had 5 walks, but ultimately only had 1 earned run scored on him and 5 strikeouts. And we're at the point now where Tyler Glasnow could be out for the season. We don't know what we've got with Gavin Stone, who's currently injured. Clayton Kershaw's on the IL, and they've said he might not come back during the rest of the regular season. And then you add the rest of the guys who are just on the IL because it's a long list and it would take forever to go through. Walker Buehler hopefully turn the corner. I know there's been other episodes recently where I've been very hard on him. I've said I'm out. But now we're at the point where we have to just rally behind Walker Buehler, because it looks like he's probably going to start a postseason game for the Dodgers, and our season could be in his hands.
Yeah, I mean, all he has to do now, this is crazy to say, but after that last ball game on Sunday where he looked downright competent, basically all he has to do between now and the end of the year is not completely implode, because just by default, he's going to be ahead of Landon Knack, which, for better or worse, that's just going to be the case. I like the way Knack's thrown most of the season. He deserves a shot, but Buehler is Buehler, so he's gonna have the first crack at it. Bobby Miller would have been the other guy that could have unseated him, but Bobby Miller's been. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole right now. And then I was doing a bunch of digging today, and I didn't see. Wasn't Gavin Stone supposed to test his shoulder this weekend? I couldn't find out how that went.
I don't think he's picked up the ball yet.
So not great, basically.
But you are right. He is supposed to start working his way back any day now. But since it's the Dodgers, we always have to hope for the worst, I guess. Anytime they tell us, like Tyler Glasnow, there's a lot of optimism. You get hit with the hard news the next day, and all of a sudden he's out for the year. So it gets ridiculous with these Dodgers injuries. I don't know what to even think about the Gavin Stone shoulder injury. At this point, I have to just assume that he's not coming back until we're told otherwise, because why get my hopes up?
Yeah, that's exactly right. They're just going to get dashed, man. The only time all year where I assumed that something was completely cooked, that it hasn't been, and knock on table again, is Yamamoto. Because when he went down, I thought that was the year, and it was only 2.5 months. So, small win, I guess, there. But, you can't assume Stone's going to be back. You can't assume Kershaw is going to be back. We basically been told that Glasnow is gone. So it's, as long as Buehler's pitching to an ERA in the 4 to 5 range down the stretch here, he's probably the game 3 guy. Or they go bullpen game and then see what it looks like for game 4.
I do think Bobby Miller is this next scheduled starter against the Miami Marlins.
Yeah, I know.
What are your expectations for
My
this Marlins
expectations are
start?
low. I mean, the Marlins are terrible. So hopefully you get an opportunity to like kind of, get fat against a weak opponent sort of thing. But everything Bobby Miller throws this year is getting destroyed. And, I'm seeing all these very enlightening Twitter threads about what's wrong with his mechanics and all that stuff. And I'm sure a lot of that is indeed the case, but that's just not a thing that's going to magically fix itself between starts. So he might be able to wiggle his way through a bad Marlins lineup. But I feel like we've seen enough, don't you? Like, is there anything that he could do in whatever we're at now? 2, maybe 3 starts, the rest, probably 2, to say, oh, this is a guy that deserves a postseason start? He hasn't been close this
Yeah.
year.
I'm right there with you. I don't think there's anything he can really do to salvage his season, at least as a starter. Maybe they could throw him into the bullpen and he finds something, but we're running out of time here. I mean, the regular season ends in like 2 weeks. But I will say I am going to show some confidence with Bobby Miller against the Miami Marlins tomorrow. I'm waiting for the strikeout pick, but I will say, whatever it is, I'm definitely going higher. And so that leads me to our new partnership. We have a nice deal with Underdog Fantasy here. So if you don't know what Underdog Fantasy is, they're a pick'em fantasy. They're a pick'em entry site, kind of like a Prize Picks, DraftKings, and I got to say, they're pretty awesome. I use them for NFL football. Underdog is super easy to play, and it's even easier to get started. Go to their easy-to-use mobile app or underdogfantasy.com. Sign up with the promo code INCLINE, and Underdog will give you a mystery special pick to use on your first pick-em entry, plus a first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code INCLINE to claim your new customer special of a mystery player pick and your deposit offer, but you must be 18 or older to enter, 21 plus in Massachusetts, Arizona, 19 plus in Alabama, and wherever NE is. I sound like an idiot there. And present state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Void in terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. 1-800-NEXT-STEP for Arizona, 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT STEP 53342. In New York, you can call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8 Hope NY or text Hope NY 467-369. So whatever the pick-em entry is for Bobby Miller, I'm going higher on strikeouts. That's how confident I am.
I hope you're right. I really hope you're right. By the way, Underdog, awesome social feed too. They're so fast with news. So if you follow sports and you play fantasy sports or pick'ems or whatever, they get the news within fractions of a second. They do such a great job of following every feed so that you don't have to. So shout out to Underdog. We've done some stuff with them in the past as well. Yeah, I don't know what the line's going to be on a Bobby Miller strikeout total. I'm guessing it's not going to be that high because he's been so rough this year. But yeah, I mean, you match up against teams that swing and miss. Man, Kevin, what have you seen with him that I like? It just seems like, this dude's throwing 99-mile-an-hour fastballs with run, and they're just getting obliterated every time. And I get it. Like, you're in the bigs. You can't throw it thigh high. These guys can hit thigh high fastballs if you throw it 180. But what happened? First start, was that the first start of the year where he had like a dozen strikeouts against the Cubs? That was this season. Doesn't that feel like 4 years ago?
It feels like a long time ago. Yeah, it was at home, I believe. I think it was at home. It was against the St. Louis Cardinals, and he diced them up. I was like, this guy's going to potentially be in the Cy Young Award race, and it's been all downhill ever since. I think statistically, he might be the worst starting pitcher in baseball. His pitching run value, according to Baseball Savant, is a -23. Even though he throws hard, like you mentioned, his fastball has just been terrible. His breaking stuff has been bad. And he's not even unlucky. He's just bad. He has a 7.06 expected ERA over 8. He's walking a lot of guys. I don't know what the hell happened to this poor guy, but this season's a wash for him. So I think when we look at the postseason rotation outlook Flaherty is probably going game 1, Yamamoto game 2, game 3. I think it might be Walker Buehler at this rate, and then game 4. Landon Knack didn't look so hot against the Braves. He kind of got shelled. He also has a near 5 FIP, so the metrics suggest that he might not be reliable. Tony Gonsolin is ramping his way up in Oklahoma City, and it would be surprising, but he's not out of the question. He might be in the mix for the Dodgers, or game 4, they just go a pure bullpen game.
That would be my guess. Maybe you wedge, 2 or 3 innings of a quote unquote bulk guy in there, one of these young starters, and if they're terrible after one, they get themselves into trouble or something, you just go right back to a different bullpen arm. We've seen them do it before in the postseason when they had insufficient starting pitching. It happens way too often. These injuries are out of control. My thought on the Bobby Miller thing, and again, I'm not a pitching mechanics expert, is like, why? Really, it's why. Why are they continuing to run him out there? I just feel like at this point, all it can possibly serve is to further ruin the poor kid's confidence, because we've seen it. It's in him. He's awesome. He's got incredible stuff. He just, it's not located well at all. He can't control his breaking pitches this year. The changeup is actually still not bad in all of this mess, but you can't throw it every time, or it's not a changeup. Then it's just a slow fastball. Just shut him down. Send him to somewhere they can work on mechanics. Give him the whole offseason. Stop whatever this is. And I know they don't really have other options at this point, but it's brutal for him. You feel for him. It's brutal for the team, because you feel like they're going out there going, well, we better score 8 this ball game or we're cooked. And it's brutal for folks covering the team and fans, because we have an expectation of failure when he goes out there. That's a horrible sinking feeling. And I don't know. I feel so bad for Bobby Miller. You can see him out there just thinking about it, staring, and it almost looks like he doesn't want to be there a lot of the time. And I don't know. Maybe it's just because I've seen so many young dudes come through the minors that are being slowly broken by a game that teaches you to fail. But just get him out of there. Go work on it someplace else. Fix him up. Bring him back for next year, because not everybody can throw 99 with movement with 2 breaking balls and a devastating change. Just go fix it somewhere.
100%. I want to be mindful of Dan's time, so I want to open it up to our chat. If you got any questions for myself or Dan, feel free to drop them below, and we'll answer your guys' questions. If you haven't hit that like button yet, please do that as well. We love you guys, and I always love answering your guys' questions. So in the meantime, while I wait for you guys to ask anything that's on your mind, the Tyler Glasnow saga has just been interesting, and unfortunately for him, I'm not getting my hopes up. I think he's out for the rest of the season unless some miracle happens. But you're more likely to win the lottery at this point than probably seeing Tyler Glasnow pitch in the postseason for this season for the Los Angeles Dodgers. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. They first are optimistic. They think they're telling us it's almost like a phantom IL stint. Tyler Glasnow is telling reporters in the media that he thinks this is minor and he'll be back to pitch in no time. Then the other day, during everything's going right during this whole minor buildup process, he's going to throw in a simulated game. And while he's warming up, he gets scratched. He has to go back into the locker room. He doesn't answer any of the media's question. Instead, he ghosts everyone. And then the next day, he leaves town altogether. His locker is completely vacated, and Dave Roberts isn't giving us really what's going on here. He says it's not public information that needs to be disclosed. And apparently the absence has nothing to do with getting the elbow examined, which, if I'm a conspiracy theorist here, I call bullshit. I think Tyler Glasnow did the opposite. I think he left town to go get that elbow re-examined, because what the hell is going on here? We went from elbow tendonitis to now he has a sprained elbow. And it's just a very frustrating matter.
Yeah, I'm petrified. I don't want to say the things that are running through my head, but we're all thinking them. So maybe I'll just make a bit noise and call it a moment on that one. I am now sitting in I really pray that it is something close to what they're saying it is, and that he's good to go by opening day next year. That to me is a win for Glasnow in this moment. If that's how this turns out, I'll be fine with it, because all of this stuff. And I don't know what the like cleaned out locker thing means. Like, it doesn't feel like there's a reason for him to like clean everything out unless he's going to be gone for a little while. But like, also, does he really need to travel with the team to Miami if he's going to try to figure out what's going on with his elbow? There's a lot of things at play there, but I am very nervous. And maybe if they were a bit more forthright, the Dodgers, with their injury reporting, we wouldn't have to sit here and try to guess at what's going on and be super nervous about it. But so far, we've heard a lot of everything's going to be fine, and then it just hasn't been fine. And now they're saying, oh yeah, it's a sprained elbow and blah, blah, blah. Hand waving, look over here kind of thing. That's way worse than the usual reports we get.
Yeah.
So of course we're going to think the worst, because when we get told something optimistic, we get something like slightly negative. Now we're being told something slightly negative. Doesn't that like instinctively mean that we're going to start to assume it's very negative? So please, everybody, what did they say in Bull Durham? We need a live chicken. Everybody get a live chicken. That Tyler Glasnow is going to be fine, because however this season goes, we're going to need that dude for next year. Dodgers are going to need him. Although Shohei pitching next year will be pretty sweet too.
That'll be fun. Honestly, I feel like the Dodgers overworked Tyler Glasnow, and I'm not a trainer. I'm not part of the coaching staff. But when you have a guy with a very long list of injuries and constantly on the IL and never really went over 130 innings pitched ever in his career, I don't understand why they basically were running him out there like he's Randy Johnson. It felt like he was going 7 innings, 8 innings, 6 innings all the time, back to back to back, when maybe they should have done something more mindful and kind of a reverse of what's happening with the White Sox and Garrett Crochet right now, where the first 2 months of the season, maybe you take a little bit of a hit with some wins and some bullpen usage, but you just have Tyler Glasnow go 4 innings, hard cap of 50, 60 pitches, and you ramp him up, give him some breaks in between so that during the second half, you actually get the first half of what we saw with Tyler Glasnow, which was a complete workhorse. And I think Dodger fans, some of them might have forgotten just how effective and awesome Tyler Glasnow actually was when he was on the mound for the Dodgers, because this guy was a quality start machine. He was a strikeout machine. And unfortunately, they used all their bullets on him in the first half, and he ran out of gas once again. And I mean, I have no regrets on the trade. I know other people will feel different, but this is just an unfortunate incident that happened with a guy that they committed a lot of money to for the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'd make that trade 1,000 times over. You need the aces like that don't grow on trees. So you go and you get a player like that and you try to manage them better. I know they tried to do it with Yamamoto this year, and his shoulder got sore anyway. It doesn't matter what they're doing with their guys right now. They're all getting hurt. I am seeing, and I don't mean to turn sideways, that in the comments it says that was in Major League. I really thought that was Bull Durham. Can anybody confirm which movie the mound visit where they talk about needing a live chicken is from? I could swear that was Kevin Costner talking about it. You looking it up for me?
I'll try to quickly Google, but I do see need a live chicken, Bull Durham. I think you're right, Dan.
Bring it on home, baby.
We need a live rooster or something.
Live rooster. Okay, I messed up the fowl. the poultry was wrong.
Regardless, yeah. No, I think a lot.
You get an ace. You get an ace. That's the main thing. You like if you can get them, especially at a discount. Ryan Pepio was lovely, but you go get a guy that can be a top of the line starter in a postseason series who has the stuff, just the sheer stuff, to stand on a mound and fire and get you 4 or 5, whatever it is, shutout innings. But I'm with you too. Like, I don't know why you're throwing 7 innings of Glasnow in a game they were up 5 or 6 nothing, because that happened a few times this year. Just yank him after 80 pitches. You could even piggyback him with somebody. Get a young player to go 2 or something like that. Stretch it to get it to your back 2 or 3 arms in the bullpen that way. Because having him around right now would be adding way more wins than whatever you lose by, yanking him after 4 or 5 innings. I'm sure he would have been pissed about it too, because players always want to go longer, but like, you gotta play the long game there. Still, I don't know, Kevin, we talk about this like it would make a difference. Again, it just seems like every arm on this team is going to end up hurt at some point anyway. And I was spending a bunch of time thinking about this over the last few days in particular. And like thinking through what other teams have had to go through. And I get it. Like, a lot of starters miss time over the course of a season. That's a lot of wear and tear on an arm. But to have whatever it is for the Dodgers right now, something like, what is it? 7 of their top 10 arms are out, starters.
It's absurd. Like,
Nuts.
the graphics are just painful. If you look at the Dodgers projected opening day rotation, it's like a kill list. You had Tyler Glasnow on there, who we've been talking about at nauseating, whatever. I'm rattled. But Emmett Sheehan was on there. He's been dead all year. Walker Buehler, Bobby Miller were on there. Clayton Kershaw at one point was supposed to come back. He's back on the IL. Gavin Stone, he's on the IL.
Dustin May in the esophagus.
Dustin May, IL. Gonsolin has been on the IL. Not going to really count him, but worth mentioning. Kyle Hurt out. Gavin Stone out. And Yamamoto missed 3 months.
Yeah.
So the list is just brutal this season. It's been a tough ride, and it's pretty remarkable that the Dodgers have 89 wins as we're talking, despite a crazy amount of injuries. And I was just going to add, circling back 2 minutes ago, you fit right in with other guests and Jake. They love their baseball references. Chris Camello throws baseball movie references in there. The chat loves baseball movie references. So naturally, you threw a good one out there.
Well, that one, I don't know. There's something about Bull Durham that's always going to strike close to home after working in the minors for 10 years, because there's so much about that movie that's minor league baseball at its core, even right down to the very end where Kevin Costner is offered a job as the coach in Visalia. I mean, and I worked in Visalia for 2 years, and they love that scene in Visalia, which, we were a Diamondbacks team, I think, at that point. Yeah, that's not a bad point. And then I unfortunately got to help put my kids to bed. The Padres are a scary team. They're terrifying.
Yeah, that's big. Dropping that below in the chat. They're up 2-0 right now. Jackson Merrill with his 24th home run. Rookie has been on fire. Well, Dan, is there anything else you wanted to cover while you're here? I want to make sure you get your final Dodger thoughts in here before you got to head out.
I don't know. I mean, I want them to solve this pitching arm situation. And there's been, in my opinion, and I love the Dodgers, and I will back them, and I will root for them, and I'm actually kind of an optimist when it comes right down to it. But there was a little bit of buck passing lately on the pitching arm thing, talking about how it's the fault of youth baseball and whatever. No, I mean, yes, but every team is getting dudes from that same player pool, and somehow they have like 60 to 80% of their starting rotation intact. Figure this one out. It solves everything. I mean, this is what held the Dodgers. Dodgers were non-competitive last year because they didn't have starting pitchers they trusted. It's the same thing everybody's looking at again. So that's my complaint of the night. That and Austin Barnes, first of all, get healthy, but also stop putting your glove in the way of people's swings, Austin. It's too many catcher's interferences lately. But you know what? Go Dodgers, because this is awesome. Dodgers have Shohei Ohtani at the end of all this. That's a pretty good silver lining. Do you think he gets to 50-50? I'm actually kind of concerned that he doesn't now.
So he's at 47 home runs, 48 steals, I believe.
Yeah.
The reason that I think it's very possible, I believe they've got 6 games against the Colorado Rockies.
Oh, yeah, do it.
That's a cupcake right there. So he's going to hit at least 2 home runs. He gets to go to Coors at least one more time. He's going to steal those bags. I said this a week or two ago. I think he gets it done on the final 3 games, the final season series, which I believe is against the Rockies. He'll get it done there. And what's up, Anna Pineda? Major League. There we go. So backing you up. So
I don't know. Was there a scene in Major League where they had to like chase a chicken? Is that what we're thinking of? I don't remember a discussion about.
I think this happened in both movies. I think this is what's causing the confusion.
Chickens. There's too many chickens in baseball movies. Seriously, Kevin, thank you so much for inviting me on here. I hope I didn't make too much of a fool of myself. The chat room will let me know if I did or not. But it's always been a secret dream of mine to just yell about Dodgers stuff. So thank you for helping make that come true here this evening.
Thank you for coming on, Dan. You're welcome back anytime.
Awesome. Thanks. Thanks, everybody.
So I'm still here, guys. Don't log out. Dan's got to go, but he was making his incline debut tonight. So feel free to drop your questions. We still got about 20 minutes or so. Want to make sure I answer anything that's on your guys' mind. I appreciate you all for tuning in and listening and watching. So let's have some fun. Ask me anything. It doesn't even have to be Dodgers or baseball. Just go crazy, go crazy. Let's have some fun. And so give you guys a minute to load up some questions. I'm going to talk about Shohei Ohtani and what I think the Dodgers need, what the Dodgers should do when it comes to pitching him in the postseason. But before I dive into that, this show is brought to you by TickPick. I don't know if anyone saw Green Day at SoFi the other night, but I heard it was an awesome show, and there were a lot of tickets below market value on TickPick. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it out there, but I love Green Day, and they're just an awesome band. I think the Dodgers have one more Friday night's drone fireworks show left. So if you're trying to get out there to Dodger Stadium, there's literally not that many more regular season games left, just a handful. So download the TickPick app because there are no service fees at checkout, no hidden fees. You know what you're paying for, and they have the best ticket prices out there currently on the market. And they have a very clean app and a really great customer service. So I highly recommend downloading the TickPick app if you're looking for an awesome Dodgers viewing experience, or if you're into NFL and you want to go see your favorite team play in person, or you're thinking about the playoffs. TickPick has you covered. So I'm not seeing any questions yet. I do see BC mentioning Turtleneck earning a playoff spot. I like the nickname. I'm pretty sure he's referring to Brent Honeywell. I don't know if Brent Honeywell is going to be on the Dodgers postseason roster currently as it stands. I'd have to really do some thinking and dig through. Joe Kelly is about to be activated for the Dodgers, and if I had to guess, Joe Kelly will make the postseason roster over Brent Honeywell. Tony Gonsolin, complete wild card. If he can get up to the majors in the next week or so, he's probably going to make the postseason roster over Brent Honeywell. And Gavin Stone, another guy we're kind of holding out for. If he's healthy and he's good to go, he'll make the postseason roster over Brent Honeywell. But they do need some length guys, and I think as it stands, Brent Honeywell would be a better option than Michael Grove out of the Dodgers bullpen if they feel they need an arm. But there's just so many question marks right now. There's so many injuries. We don't even know who's actually out and who has a chance to come back. Clayton Kershaw could come back for all we know. It's a complete mystery. I think when we're waiting for the day that the Dodgers announce their NLDS roster, we're going to get hit with some surprises. And honestly, we're probably not even going to know or expect all 26 guys. They're going to throw in a surprise or two. So we just have to wait and see. So Big saying Dodgers will be in the World Series this year, a la Rangers. How about the Dodgers will be in the World Series, a la the Dodgers? Because let's pull off another 2020 where we just managed to just scrap it through and find guys off the scrap heat. Dustin May, Tony Gonsolin making little spot starts, going 2 innings, 3 innings, and then doing full-out bullpen games. Where's that magic for the Dodgers? Why don't we have successful bullpen games anymore in the playoffs? It worked against the Giants. Then we were down to 2 starters against the Braves because Max Scherzer had to dip. But every year now, it feels like the Dodgers never have 4 healthy starters heading into October. And this year's probably, once again, no exception, unfortunately. And so that transitions us now to the question. According to Bob Nightingale, the Dodgers aren't currently ruling out the possibility of having Shohei Ohtani pitch in the NLCS or the NL or the World Series for the Dodgers. So I want to get your guys' thoughts if you want to comment along. Would you personally have Shohei Ohtani pitch for the Dodgers in the postseason? Now, obviously, it wouldn't be as a starter because he's not stretched out by any means. I think the most I've seen him throw in a bullpen session is about 20 or 25 pitches. But if Shohei Ohtani could throw 25 to 30 pitches for the Dodgers, making him probably a 1-inning guy, is that enough? Is that worth him coming out of the pen for the Dodgers? Personally, I don't know. That's a huge risk because the end game here is for Shohei Ohtani to eventually be starting again for the Dodgers on a regular basis. Now, I'm kind of skeptical about Shohei Ohtani being a long-term starter for the Dodgers, especially with him already having a history of elbow injuries. He's had 2 surgeries on his elbow. He's had he's had fatigue before as well. I don't know if 30 starts is even realistic for Shohei Ohtani in any given season anymore. I think 15 is almost what we should be expecting. 15 to 20 starts is probably the range that we'd get from Shohei Ohtani starting for the Dodgers in the next few years for the foreseeable future. But I don't really know how the rules work. This is because Shohei Ohtani's never been in the postseason. So I don't know if you have to declare him as both a pitcher and a hitter and you lose a roster spot, or you're allowed to declare him as just Shohei Ohtani. And there's certain rules and stipulations of bringing a position player or a DH into the game. Maybe someone in the chat could explain it better to me, or if you're watching after the fact, comment on YouTube, let me know. But let's say it's freaking game 6 or game 7, and the Dodgers had to go with a bullpen game, and they've used all their guys, and it's literally down to 1 or 2 arms left. Desperate times call for desperate measures, and I think nothing is off the table. And so if we're in that scenario, not a game 1, not a game 2, but I'm talking like game 6 or game 7 with the season in balance or the chance to clinch it, I'm all for it. You can bring Shohei Ohtani out of the bullpen. Why not? The risk seems worth it to me. If they win the World Series, I'm willing to jeopardize some risk here. I don't care what happens. If he never can pitch again, but they win the World Series this year, screw it. I'll make that trade-off. I'd rather win in 2024 than have what ifs for the next 5 to 7 years. So I'm all in. If it comes down, the push comes to shove, and they need that guy out of the bullpen, not a Kershaw in 2019 where it makes no sense, but a flamethrower. If Ohtani's throwing 100, why the hell not? Risk it, do what you got to do to win these big games, because we've seen it with the Dodgers the last few seasons now. Getting back to the World Series is no guarantee by any means. They've been eliminated in the NLDS 2 years in a row. And if they're in the NLCS or the World Series and they have a chance to seal the deal, do it. Go all in. Let Ohtani pitch. Whatever happens, happens. But sometimes you got to take chances. And this is a chance that I'm willing to take. And so let's see what Aaron Eck has to say. So I think he's agreeing with me. Win this year, no matter what. I'm tired of next year. Absolutely. I could not be more sick of, well, there's always next year. This mentality is just getting weak and tiring and honestly sickening at times. We basically punted 2023 for this year. So there is no excuse for the Dodgers to not go all in, take chances, do what they got to do to win it all this season. Yeah, we've been snake bitten by some key injuries, but they still have the talent to get the job done and compete for a World Series. They need that attitude. Like when Michael Kopech in Sunday Night Baseball in a tied game had runners at second and third with nobody out, and he got out of it. He was fired up. He threw 101 miles per hour, fastballs, huge high leverage guy. That's the type of attitude I want to see from this entire Dodgers pitching staff and the hitters, if I'm being quite frank. Justin Yamas joining the chat. Max Fried pitched like he was already wearing Dodger blue. To be honest, I'm taking that. I guess I'm going to take that as a compliment since Max Fried pitched pretty well tonight. He did have a quality start, but 9 of our last 12 games are against Miami and Colorado, so should be good news. Yeah, I mean, no doubt about it. The Dodgers have a very soft schedule coming up. No guarantees yet, but I know Jake Reiner should be joining me in a day or two, and we'll talk about whatever happens in these next games. But the Dodgers are in a very good position right now. They just have to take care of business, and they should lock up the NL West, even if the Padres are as hot as they've been. They're playing the Astros in a 3-game series right now. So can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm rooting for Houston for once in my life. Get the job done. Austin Barnes going on the IL. Hunter Fiducia was called up. I get calling Hunter Fiducia up right now in the regular season. He's got some experience catching some of these Dodgers pitchers already. But if we're in the postseason and Austin Barnes can't come back because he fractured another part of his toe, so this is the second time Barnes is going on the IL with a fractured toe. And if Austin Barnes can't come back for October, there is no excuse in my book for Dalton Rushing to not be that backup catcher. Because, I mean, the facts are Will Smith's going to catch every game. Hunter Fiducia would be a pinch hitter. No offense to Hunter Fiducia, but he doesn't really excite me at being a key pinch hitter off the bench. Why not give that roster spot to Dalton Rushing? The guy has been on fire. We've talked about him all the time. He's their top hitting prospect, and he's showing it with good reason. He should be on the postseason roster. I was already saying if Barnes was healthy, but now the fact that Barnes isn't healthy, I think Dalton Rushing should be on there. He'd be an emergency catcher. It's not like he has to catch games anyways. If Smith were to get hurt, then Smith gets off the roster and they would add Fiducia then, I guess. So figure the problem out. But for now, Dalton Rushing should, honestly, he should be up already, but they should give Dalton Rushing a roster spot in October if Barnes is a no-go. IV asking, what game does Ohtani reach 50-50? Any predictions? Well, to be consistent, I've been saying it's going to be the final series of the year. So for me, Shohei Ohtani will reach that 50-50 point. The 50th home run will come in Coors. So I'll say on Saturday, September 28th, he'll hit his 50th home run at the Rockies. In terms of the stolen bases, I'll say he'll get stolen base number 50 in that Padres series. If they're facing Yu Darvish, he's going to get stolen base number 50 off Yu Darvish. How do you like that? Being very specific right there. So I'm confident. I think Ohtani does it. Just needs 3 more home runs, 2 more stolen bases. It's within reach. Now, of course, it's not the thing I care about the most. Winning the World Series is what I care about the most. And if Ohtani needs to take some days off to rest, or they got to pull him out early because it's pullouts, that's the priority. I don't care about these records. I want the World Series title. So the records are kind of the gravy, the icing on top. If they happen, great. But no, I want Ohtani to be on fire in October. I want Ohtani to become known as one of baseball's greatest postseason hitters. How would you like that storyline? Because we haven't had anyone on that team since Corey Seager. Justin Turner was another one. Maybe Shohei Ohtani can be that superstar that the Dodgers finally have that actually is electric and shows up on a consistent basis in the postseason for the Dodgers. That would just set baseball on fire, and I think that would really put this sport back on the map. It'd be a lot of momentum and a lot of people tuning in who maybe were casuals or didn't really care about baseball during the regular season, but they're going to tune in for Ohtani, no doubt about it. And if Ohtani's on fire and he's hitting big home runs, that'd be so great for the sport. And I'm not ruling out Mookie Betts either because he has been nothing but clutch for the Dodgers, especially with runners in scoring position. He's hitting like nearly 400 with runners in scoring position. So if Mookie Betts can carry that over into October, that's a 1-2 punch. That's a Kobe and Shaq combo. Ohtani and Betts, they really do have the poise. They have the stats, and they've had the play this season to really be a dynamic and powerful 1-2 punch, maybe one of the best that baseball has ever seen. So I'm here for it. I'm very excited. We're very close to the postseason. We got to avoid the wild card round at all costs, especially given the shortage of arms in our rotation already. I don't think it would do the Dodgers any good of having Flaherty and Yamamoto pitch in the wild card round, because who the hell are you going to pitch in game 1? Walker Buehler. So that means you got to have Walker Buehler in game 5 potentially. So they got to get the bye. They've got to set the table fresh. You need Flaherty, you need Yamamoto, and you need Buehler potentially as your 1, 2, 3 in an NLDS, no wild card. That would set up for disaster. And I don't know how the Dodgers honestly could overcome that if they have to play a wild card series and then an NLDS and then an NLCS and then a World Series. That would just seem almost next to improbable. So we're down to like the final 5-6 minutes here. So I want to make sure you guys get your final questions there. Ask me anything. Doesn't have to be Dodgers. So I want to make sure the chat gets to speak their mind. Drop your comments. Appreciate all you guys watching along. But yeah, very successful week for the Dodgers. Not too often am I excited about a 2-2 split, but for this one, I'm very happy. I'm glad the Braves and Dodgers were able to split because it was looking ugly for a minute. Landon Knack got shelled. So now huge question marks if he's ready for the postseason. Jack Flaherty didn't have it. Evan Phillips had a meltdown. It was a Chris Sale masterclass. Dodgers got destroyed. And then the last two games, something clicked. They unlocked. The offense was on fire. They dropped 18 runs. They played really good baseball. Defense really turned it around as well. Tonight was arguably one of a top five worthy Dodgers overall defensive showcase. They just had it going. Miguel Rojas was great. Kike was great. Will Smith was awesome. And, of course, Edman. So these are the type of wins that you just feel really good and optimistic for the Dodgers heading into October. So we've got some good momentum going. This Miami Marlins series, the Dodgers just got to take care of business and, frankly, just sweep them if they can. Dennis Gonzalez, will other teams learn their lesson and not walk Shohei Ohtani to get to Mookie? Well, so far it's happened twice, and so far it has not worked out for the opposition. So it's like people forget Mookie Betts is an MVP and an MVP candidate himself. Like, obviously Ohtani is the best player in baseball, but Mookie Betts is still a top 5 player at the end of the day. So maybe you don't want to walk Shohei to pitch to Mookie Betts. They're both just excellent players. From Ivy, what's the most money you would pay for a World Series ticket if they made it that far this year? That's a flippin' hard question because when the Dodgers and Astros were in the World Series, I feel like tickets were anywhere from $500 and up. And that was a little uncomfortable for me. But I also had a shitty job that wasn't paying me shit at the time. And so money was a lot more tight. I'm a little better now and kind of have a more stable career. So, but I got other expenses on the way. So I don't know. The most I would pay, I feel like 300 would be my max, but maybe I would go a little more if there's good seats or if it's like a game 7, game 6, or just the Dodgers have good momentum and can clinch. I don't know, but 300, which probably sounds too low, but that's what I used to pay to go to Coachella back in the day. So, and now Coachella is over $500. Everything's just expensive, man. There's no cheap ticket these days. Don't think we got any more questions, but if anyone drops anything last second, more than happy to answer anything you guys got. But yeah, good weekend and good Monday for the Dodgers. Good momentum. So want to appreciate you guys all for watching. And if you're listening on the audio feed, appreciate you guys as well. Promise to get a better microphone because my last one just died out on me. And then, of course, I ordered the wire on Amazon and it's the wrong wire. So going to try to go to Best Buy maybe right now after the show and get that technology so the sound can sound in sync again. But yeah, here we go. Next up, Miami Marlins. We're done with the Braves. Go Dodgers. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let us know in the YouTube comments who your Game 3 starter currently is now for the Dodgers. I did a poll. Over 600 people responded. Landon Knack won in a landslide. But I think after this most recent series, if I did a new poll, I think Walker Buehler might take the edge. So let me know. Drop that below in the comments. Everyone have a good weekend.